Welcome to Morning Show Plus. Gator Dave Waters is here.
That's right.
One of the most popular podcasts out there on Apple Podcasts.
Everywhere.
Gator Breakdown, everywhere. And the reason he's here is because we can talk basketball and we can talk football. Basketball because, as you know, for the first time in 11 years, the Gators won the SEC championship, and you know, when you're filling out your brackets, they got a pretty good chance. They don't play till when?
Friday night, about 6:50.
That is a tough conference, man. Probably the best right now.
Yeah. Finished second in the regular season against right behind Auburn. Beat Alabama and Auburn on the road, so really impressive streak, and then took that into the SEC tournament where they just were able to avenge a loss to Tennessee, able to avenge a loss to Missouri along the way in the tournament, and really came out, and as you said, it was a really deep tournament. Florida came out on top, so earned that #1 seed.
Tennessee did not look happy at the end of that game.
But they were playing in Nashville, so you know there's a whole bunch of Tennessee fans.
So before we get to that, your team won yesterday.
Carolina, baby.
Yeah.
Tar Heels.
A lot of people questioning if they should even be in. And
you can make definitely the argument over the quad one win thing, but it's Carolina, and they put up 95 points against a team that doesn't ever give up 80.
Yeah.
And just ran them up and down the floor in true Carolina fashion.
Yeah.
So I was super happy about that. I was salty at first, but I was like, we made it, whatever, prove it.
So, you know, Gators got to be happy. You know, the one thing that I thought was funny.
Yep.
So when they were celebrating after the win, you know, they went there and they went to put one of the SEC champ hats on Coach's head. He's like, don't mess up the hair.
Does he have any? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he's got a real sporting cut.
Yeah, young guy.
Yeah, what is he, 30-something?
Yeah, late 30s. This is his third season, and certainly a lot of a young coach who's coming from San Francisco, so you wouldn't really know how he's going to transition from that to a big job like Florida, and now he's really dive into analytics more so than a lot of other staffs. That's kind of the young.
That's a
the
new
young
wave.
route to go,
Right. It's a different way to,
so certainly recruited very well, hit the transfer portal very well. That's why you see this team where they're at. Very hard to accomplish that as a young coach in 3 years, but now has Florida, back where Florida was getting used to under Billy Donovan.
So where do you see them going?
Auburn's good too.
They were the #1 overall seed, of course, and Florida. That was Florida's probably biggest win of the year. They went on the road and beat Auburn in Auburn. Florida's got just as good a chance as anybody going to the Final Four.
Right.
So it's not a lot of hype behind this team. They were playing. They were the best team of the last month of the season, and that's not going out on a limb or anything. They had the biggest wins. They win the SEC tournament, of course. So they're gonna be a tough out.
I've got to tell you, I think the coach also works to keep them humble. So my daughter goes to Florida. She goes to all the basketball games, and he'll have the players out there. And one day she's standing in line, and she sees some of the players out there, and coach has them going out and meeting some of the fans. Yeah. And collecting their trash. Well, they're sitting there in line. He says, "Okay, guys, give me your stuff here because we want to keep things tidy before the game."
Right. It's been amazing to see this year the support they've gotten from the student body, because the student body, to get in there, is first come, first served basis for where you want to sit. So they're lining up.
Yeah, they are.
But days before.
Some of the students are ticked off because they found out that there were some people who weren't students, adults, who were getting into the student section. So
hey, man, if you ain't cheating, ain't trying.
Yeah. All right, so how many rounds do you think they? I mean, it's hard to gauge, hard to guess, But do you think they make it pretty deep?
They will. They're too. Speaking of deep, they are a deep team.
Yeah.
I mean, they can go comfortably 8-9 deep. The guys coming off the bench, they're a really deep team at front court, back court. If they're not shooting the ball well, they can dish it on the inside and have the bigs take over. But they're a team that shoots the three really well. But like I said, if it is off, they can adjust. They got really good guard play. Walter Clayton was an All-American this year for Florida.
Yeah.
He carries the team, and so they're so deep. It's just going to be hard to beat them.
What do you see versus like the teams? This is like as much as I know, but of like Bradley Beal and Joakim Noah versus this one.
This team is probably deeper. I don't know if they have the top level talent, of those 06, 07 Billy Donovan back-to-back national championship teams. You know, when you had Bradley Beal and you had that 2014 team as well that went undefeated all the way through the regular season, met UConn in the Final Four, and that was the only loss of the season, but you lost in the tournament. So I don't think the top, they're probably better than that 14 team, but the teams that won the national championship in 06 and 07, they don't have the top end talent, but I do think they are deeper.
It's just crazy how deep the SEC is. They've got like 10 plus teams in there, right?
14, they set a record.
Crazy. Because the ACC to me was always the standard.
Right, And then you had the old Big East of the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Only two SEC teams that didn't make it, right?
Right. South Carolina and LSU.
Which is almost unheard of. Yeah.
I mean, Florida. The SEC has put a lot of resources into basketball.
Yeah.
It was a
Totally.
clear. For Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, was a clear vision that he had. Hey, Florida's dominating, or the SEC's dominating in baseball. They're dominating in basketball. I mean, it's been that way for football for as long as we can remember. So they've just put, you go spend the money, and those are the results you get.
We're going to talk about the challenges for football here in a second, because spring football is getting underway, and how they're going to try and turn the team around. But before we move on from basketball, what are their biggest strengths on their team?
I'll go back to just how deep they are. I mean, they can bring so many guys off the bench. I mean, Walter Clayton, the All-American at guard, he's legit. I mean, he has carried the team. He shows up, and there might be a little lull, but you know what? He's going to be the guy to bring him out of that lull.
What year is he?
This will be his last year.
Does he go NBA?
He'll go NBA. He's been getting a lot of draft love lately. They're at the guard spot for Florida. But like I said, that's their biggest strength, is just how deep they can go. They can bring so many guys off the bench and not drop off in play whatsoever. So, and they're versatile. I mean, like I said, they can win with their bigs. They can win with their guards. There was a little bit of criticism earlier in the season that the offensive set plays weren't the best, but lately, I mean, they've been running so many good plays to get guys open, and it's just, I think that's why they have a legitimate chance to win it all, just because how deep they are and just how deep they can go.
Who in that bracket could pose the biggest issue?
St. John's is that number 2 seed.
I had them in the Final Four.
Rick Pitino, shame on you.
I know, man. It's just cool to see him good.
Yeah, Rick Pitino, of course. You can't say enough about how good of a coach he is. So it will be interesting to see, because if Florida wins their first game, they'll go up against the winner of UConn, who dished
kind of
Florida.
fell off a little bit.
Fell off this year, and Oklahoma. So the winner of that, Florida beat Oklahoma by 25 about a month ago.
Oklahoma never shows up in the second half.
Yeah, so that's where it could go.
When the brackets first came out, Emily was sitting there watching, and a lot of the analysts didn't think that UConn was going to get very far.
No, right.
They're not what they were.
They're not what they were. Yeah.
But then, what is?
Hey,
I know, right?
Maybe one of those teams in programs that just flip a switch in tournament time.
Yeah. Well, they also said that there are going to be some surprises this year.
Yeah.
There really are. All right, let's talk football, because the football Gators. What do you expect? Renewed emphasis on things like what power running, explosive playmaking. Some of the things they got to focus on.
Yeah, we don't know win a streak in November last year to make everybody feel better about the season, and I carry that into spring football there with Billy Napier going into his 4th season now as head coach for the Gators. It was a rocky start last year.
It was.
Lose to Miami early in the season, lose to Texas A&M early in the season. It was a foregone conclusion that Billy Napier was not going to make it out of the season.
Yeah.
And like I said,
there were people calling for his head.
Oh, for sure. And then beat a top 10 at the time LSU team, beat a top 10 at the time Ole Miss team, beat FSU at the end of the season, won their bowl game, so a 4-game winning streak to carry into this spring.
Yeah.
The biggest concern right now is, of course, you got superstar quarterback DJ Lagway. He's going to be a Heisman front runner when the season starts. Not throwing so far in spring practice, and kind of nursing a shoulder injury right now. Not too concerned not really enough to be too concerned yet. But if we go all through spring and we don't see him throw, of course, that's going to kind of just hover around the program until we get to fall camp and see him throw for the first time.
Was that the end of last season that he hurt that?
No, it was actually at the beginning. When we talk about those losses to Miami, and no, for sure. A lot of people didn't know, because it was kind of buried under just how much Florida was struggling, and it came out when he had to take over for Graham Mertz, who got hurt. We didn't see enough in that Miami game until Graham Mertz got hurt. And the question was, why didn't we see him until Graham Mertz got hurt? Well, it was Billy Billy Napier came out and said, look, he's been kind of nursing a shoulder injury, so we were kind of pitch count, for lack of a better term, so we can save his arm a little bit. But he had to get thrown out there in the action. But you couldn't have really tell. I mean, he's launching the ball 70 yards down the field with a flick of a wrist and all that. But I just think that right now they're erring on the side of caution. I don't think it's too much to be concerned about yet, because Florida's got to have him to, turn their hopes around and kind of maybe even live up to the. This is the first time under Billy Napier they've had big expectations.
Right.
You go on that big winning streak at the end of the year. You got this superstar quarterback. The expectations are now for Florida to take that next step.
So, is Napier's job on the line here, or did the end of the season kind of save him for a couple of years?
I won't say save it for a couple of years. It's given him enough of a cushion to obviously give him another chance for this year.
Right.
But I mean, now with the expectations of taking the next step, he has to take the next step. So you get a lot of Florida fans are looking at it this way. You got a 2-year window here with DJ Lagway. You got this coming up year and 26. That's how much of a superstar quarterback people think he can be. Right. So you're going to give Billy Napier, instead of starting anew by firing Billy Napier, and who knows if DJ Lagway stays around and all that, probably a 2-year window. But in this first year of that window, you've got to kind of overcome the expectations that people have set on Florida lately.
So the attitude was that he gained enough momentum. It's like, why get in the way of that momentum?
Right, exactly, yeah. And DJ Lagway loves Florida, so I don't think it's set in stone if Billy Napier was to get fired that he would leave. But you probably don't want to open that possibility either.
Well, it's obvious he did want to leave.
Right. So
let's not do it.
Yeah. So I mean, Lagway, a lot of people want to say he's tied to Billy Napier. I don't know if he's tied to Florida. About as much as tied to Billy Napier right now. So, hey, but look, it's his 4th season. Florida's got 4 or 5 offensive linemen returning up front. 2 Jacksonville guys will probably be in the mix there. Austin Barber at left tackle, Roderick Kearney from Orange Park going to be in that right guard position too. So if we want to bring it local a little bit there as well, and a defense that really came on at the end of last season as well. So there's a lot to feel good about of why Florida can take that next step.
All right. Real quickly, what happens to the Florida-Georgia game when the Stadium of the Future is not an option?
Yeah. Well, I don't remember the order, but I think is it Tampa first and then Atlanta the next year.
So that's been decided?
Yeah, it's been decided. So this will be coming up, this 25 season will be the last year in Jacksonville, and then Tampa, Atlanta, and then back here in the new stadium.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I think it's already been decided.
They're coming back. Okay, cool.
All
right. Good talk. Gator Breakdown, you can Apple and wherever you get your podcast.
YouTube, all that good stuff.
And you know what? You listen to it, you'll find out why it is one of the most popular podcasts in the nation. David, thanks, man.
Bruce, thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for joining us. And you should do this more often, especially with
yeah.
But we'll talk more March. Maybe after the Gators win Friday. So back here Monday, we can talk about that because they'll have played after Friday.
They'll play Sunday. Yep.
Okay.
They'll play Friday, Sunday. Yeah, well,
so,
of course.
All right, maybe we can do this Monday.
Let's try it.
All right, let's take a quick break, and Katie comes in with a look at the weather. So I know we're going to reach 80 today, but once again here in the newsroom, it is chilly.
I'm not taking this off. You guys are so well. You don't have your sport coat on right now, but you do. But I am not taking this off.
How many bears died for that?
A lot.
No, it's
no, I'm kidding. It's fake.
Faux.
It's faux.
Faux.
How many Build-A-Bears went down for this?
I know, right? How many Build-A-Bears weren't made?
But we got to get out of here. High of 80 today, right?
I like to think maybe one.
High of 80 coming up today. River City Live is next.